The Fifth Amendment is one of the 10 amendments in the Bill of Rights ratified in 1791. The Bill of Rights is the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. They were created as a compromise between the Federalists, who wanted a strong central government, and the Anti-Federalists, who thought that a strong central government would mean less personal protection for the people and less power to the states. This compromise included the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. The Fifth Amendment is composed of 5 basic parts, or clauses. The first of these 5 clauses is, "No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury." It allows a person who is being charged with a severe crime to have a grand jury who makes an indictment before somebody can be charged with a serious crime. A grand jury is usually 16 to 23 citizens that decide whether an accusation is valid before the trial. This grand jury clause came about because of King Henry II back in England. He created the Assize of Clarendon, which said that someone who was charged with being a murderer, thief, or robber went to see a grand jury consisting of 12 men in each hundred and 4 men in each township, who would inform the king's judges of the most serious crimes from each district. The second clause, double jeopardy, states that if a person goes to court and is found not guilty, he cannot be charged for the same crime twice. With that said, it is possible for somebody to go back to trial if the jury doesn't make a unanimous decision, which is called a hung jury. The third clause is self-incrimination. It states, "Nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself." This means that if somebody is charged with a crime, they are not required by law to testify or answer questions, which is where the "I plead the fifth" phrase comes from. This clause was made partly because of the Puritans, a group of English Reformed Protestants, and how they refused to cooperate back in the 17th century England. They would be tortured until they would say their religious affiliation, and they were guilty if they did not cooperate. A lot of them escaped to America with this idea, where it became part of the Fifth Amendment. The fourth clause, called due process, says, "Nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law." This clause comes partly from the Magna Carta back in 1215. The people of England were promised by their king, John Lackland, that he wouldn't take their rights as humans away. The Magna Carta, which means the Great Charter, says that everyone, even the king, has to obey the law, and if they don't, they will be punished. And the final clause, eminent domain, tells us, "Nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation." So if the government wanted to buy your house to build a freeway, they would have to pay you for what the price of your house would cost. Eminent domain was first recognized by France in 1789, which later influenced this clause. The Fifth Amendment affects anyone who may be going to court in the U.S. I was surprised that some of these things weren't originally added into the Constitution when it was first written. Self-incrimination seems like it would come to mind because people who were a part of any other religion were tortured back in England. Eminent domain also seems like they would have thought of it at the time while they were writing the Constitution. If the government needed your land, they could just take it away without you getting anything in return. Due process I think they also would have thought of. With due process, you could be thrown in jail because of a small thing that you did, or because somebody didn't like you. Grand jury might have been harder to think of because the government could have worked without it, or maybe instead of a grand jury there could have been something else. I think double jeopardy also would have been harder to come up with in the Constitution, because somebody might have been wrongly acquitted, not guilty. I guess that it is a bit hard to add every detail when creating the rules for an entire country, so they might have decided to play it out and make some changes in the moment. These clauses make up the Fifth Amendment, which, along with the rest of the Bill of Rights, impact American society today.